Now, a couple of things come to mind as I'm looking at this. They want me to find the measure of the missing measures, and I notice that this is an inscribed quadrilateral. So one thing I know is if it's a quadrilateral, that the measure of all four angles here put together is 360. But honestly, more quickly than that, there is the cyclic quadrilateral conjecture that says if I have a quadrilateral that's inscribed inside a circle, that opposite angles are supplementary to each other. So to find f, all I really have to do is take 180 and subtract out the 90 opposite it to say that it is also a 90-degree angle. Now g, let me erase this part. To find g, they showed me this kind of blue arc on here. You couldn't tell it was blue on your paper. But what I know is that the measure of this red arc plus the measure of this 110-degree arc plus g altogether has to be 360. So g itself, I would take 360, subtract out this 110-degree arc, and subtract out 2 times 75. Now, why 2 times 75? If I notice this 75-degree angle is an inscribed angle in the circle. So the measure of the inscribed angle is half the measure of the intersected arc. So intercepted arc, I should say. So if this is 75 degrees, this is 2 times that, which is why I did 2 times 75. So when I do this, I end up with G being a 100-degree arc measure. And in this case, for Y, I have a couple of ways to go about this. The fastest way is to remember that, first of all, this is not a central angle, so the measure of Y isn't half of 70. But the fast way to do this is it's half of the sum of these two. It's half of the 70 plus the 80, which makes it a 75-degree angle. But let's say you forget that, and you're sitting there on the test and you're saying, oh my gosh, how do I do this? What you can see is that this, okay, I really can't draw right now. Oops, did not hit what I meant to hit. Meant to hit this. That this is an inscribed angle. So if I absolutely had to, I could put an x there and say x is 2 times 80. Or sorry, x is half of 80. Wow, I can almost do this. X is half of 80 because the measure of the inscribed angle is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So x is half of 80, which means x is 40 degrees. Now, I also have this inscribed angle that intercepts this 70-degree arc. So let's make this z. Z is half of 70, so z is 35 degrees. And let's draw this out as long as we possibly can. So what I ended up finding, and I'm going to erase this a little bit. I wouldn't have done all of these marks on this thing. So I would have x here and z here. If you really had to, you could also label this A and say that, well, A is 180 minus the 40 minus the 35, because these three together have to add to 180. So A ends up being 105 degrees. And then since Y and A form a linear pair, Y is 180 minus the 105, so Y is 75 degrees. So if I forgot this conjecture, I could still get there the long way. But honestly, that angle measure is half the sum of those two intercepted arcs.